Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. It is Wrestlemania week, guys, and I'm fucking excited. Have I watched any WWE programming? No. Will I watch WrestleMania? Of course. Will I talk about the Hall of Fame? Of course. Will I talk about Joey Janella Spring Break 2? Of course. But I will talk about that next episode. This episode is all about AEW, Joey Janella Spring Break Night 1, and Super Card of Honor. But before that, let's go into some news, things that have happened in the world of wrestling, maybe pre-WrestleMania week. Marco's Stunt Release from AEW. I think everyone saw that coming. I think maybe Marco Stunt might have had to get on a little stepladder, but once he did, he saw it coming. What do you think would be next for Marco? I don't know. I think he might just kind of go back to GCW, even though he's kind of done the GCW thing. GCW really kind of knows how to book him better. He really impresses me in GCW, not just in the ring, but just his personality. Like, he wrote that song and sang it during this emo-themed wrestling show that GCW did. And he's a really cool person. I don't know why that didn't come out in AEW. He just looked like, I don't really, how back in the day they had midget versions of WWE characters, like Midget Mankind, and I think they did like a Midget Kane, Midget Vader. He kind of just came across as like a midget young buck in AEW, but I mean, he's a little guy. He can definitely do a lot of fun comedy stuff, maybe DDT, maybe AAA, but I don't think, honestly, I don't think he's as good of a wrestler as guys that are coming up that are pretty short now. I mean, like, you can do, you got Leon Ruff out there, you got Ninja Mac out there. I mean, not saying that those guys, not trying to have a short guy ranking system, but I think those guys are out there, and if you're trying to bring in a smaller guy to make the bigger guys look good, but still show a lot of heart, I would go that direction more so than Marco Stunt. So I don't know where Marco's going after this. I do know where Roman's going after this, and it might be to the top. He appeared on Jimmy Fallon. I always think it's really cool to see WWE stars or wrestling stars appear on late night shows. I guess it's showing my age a little bit. I still think the late night shows are a big deal to be on. As long as the late night shows don't wrestle, like Jay Leno from back in the day in WCW, we're good. We like seeing the wrestling on the late night show. We don't like seeing the late night show on the wrestling. But jumping over to AEW, of course, AEW kind of seems like an afterthought this week. Dynamite Rampage, it's really hard to kind of remember what happened, but I wrote it down, guys. Don't you worry. Punk wants the title. This would be cool to see Hangman Page versus Punk. I don't want to see Cole versus Punk. I think Hangman, this is the most important title reign in AEW history, is Hangman Page title reign. They did a good job with Danielson and Hangman, and I feel like we've been in a lull ever since Danielson and Hangman. So I think you can kind of heat that title reign up a little bit by having Punk lose to Hangman. That's pivotal to see Punk lose to Hangman. That needs to be what happens. Tension in the Pinnacle. FTR kind of, they kicked Tully out, and MJF kind of kicked Wardlow out. So it looks like FTR is going face, and of course MJF can't go face, and they're arguing about Wardlow. MJF with the hilarious line, Wardlow would always talk shit about you guys when you weren't around. I mean, that just is like an act of desperation, shitty lie, and you could just tell by the way he delivered it. Hilarious line. MJF, I mean, top 3 heels in the business right now. Excited to see Maria Shafir. I don't watch Dark, so I haven't seen her. I know she recently, left UFC and even more recently left NXT and competed in Bloodsport on Thursday at WrestleMania. But I didn't see any of that, I got to be honest. So I'm excited to see her, appear on AEW TV. Jericho calling the Jericho Appreciation Society the revolutionary force in sports entertainment brought me all the way back, cracking up. It physically brought me back as I was laughing, and then it brought me mentally back thinking about, some new generation era WWF. I love that shit. This faction is funnier than any Saturday Night Live cast in my lifetime. I'll say that, and I'll put the challenge out there, guys. If you can present a Saturday Night Live cast that had come around since 1990, that is funnier than Daddy Magic. It's funnier than Jake Hager, Jericho, Danny Garcia all together. I don't know. Maybe I'll give you a Curtain Jerkin baseball shirt. I still got tons of those laying around. FTR always cutting great promos. They cut a good promo. They want the Bucks, and we're going to talk about that a little later. Right now, we're going to be talking about Rampage. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti ruined Dan Lambert's car. Danhausen can't curse Hook. The interpreter looks goofy, kind of standing with Pentagon. He kind of ruins the gimmick for me. That's kind of my takeaway from outside the ring at Rampage. Sammy and Ty, I know they got jumped a month or two ago, but they're kind of starting to look like jerks, like this hot young couple bullying this old man. I know Dan Lambert's a jerk, but I want to see American Top Team, and I want to see the Men of the Year kind of get a little heat back, because right now, past few weeks, it's just been this really attractive couple shitting on this old man. So bring it back a little bit. I want to see this feud get a little more even, and maybe we will see that coming up. But as always, I'm going to break down every single match from AEW this week, from worst to first. And it's hard because there wasn't a lot of squash matches this week. Every match, there weren't any classics and there weren't any squash matches. So every match is take this one with a grain of salt. But Tony Storm versus the Bunny for the Owen Hart tournament. This is a tough spot to be in. Debuting the Wednesday before the weekend, going into WrestleMania. I bet a lot of people are going to kind of forget about Tony Storm here. Not as much as the WWE writing team did on SmackDown or anything like that. But I think they're going to forget about her with all the cool shit that's coming up this weekend, or that already happened this weekend. It looks like the South Carolina crowd at Dynamite kind of forgot about her after her entrance. There was a big, you could hear a pin drop as the bell sounded. But Tony Storm did get the victory. We'll see how this plays out as the tournament progresses. If she wins the thing, that's what people are going to remember. And she's definitely good enough to win the thing. She's attractive. I can see them strapping the rocket to her here. Number 9, FTR versus the Gun Club. Pretty much this is lower ranked because Wardlow just showed up. Place goes wild. Big rig 1, 2, 3 is kind of what happened here. Number 8, CM Punk versus Max Caster. One of the better raps I've heard from Max Caster in a while. Crowd is super into Punk, more so than usual, I would say. Punk struggles with a pile driver. That kind of is why I ranked it a little low. Come on, pick the bigger man up, Punk. And a kind of vice. Caster taps. Number 7, Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Starks runs down. Swerve stops him. There's Taz getting involved here too. Power slam from Hobbs. But the ref was breaking up the battle on the outside here. Instead of going in the ring, Keith Lee power slam. 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee gets the victory. But it's weird they did this spot where the ref wasn't looking on the heel instead of the face here. I kind of am sympathetic for Powerhouse Hobbs. A little bit here. So that's kind of why it's lower ranked. All these things are nitpicky this week because, like I said, no classics, but no squash matches either. Team Taz put Swerve through a table after this, and then the numbers game caught up with Keith Lee. They put Keith Lee through a table as well. The feud that stays on Rampage is heating up on Rampage, and I enjoy that. Number 6 out of 10, Hayter versus Sky Blue. You gotta love Jamie Hayter here. Owen Hart tournament here. Hayter's awesome. Sky Blue's booty should not be ignored, just saying. Big brain buster. Snug lariat. 1, 2, 3. Hayter wins. Number 5 out of 10, Bucks versus Top Flight. Dante Martin is always impressive. Darius at one point just throws Dante up. This looked insane. This looked like he was on strings or something, getting, pulled around by a conveyor system. Dante gets thrown up and backwards over his brother and over Nick Jackson to land behind Nick Jackson to then get on the offense. That was insane. BTE trigger. Bucks get the victory though. Number 4 out of 10, House of Black versus Fuego del Sol and Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. this is kind of weird that there's someone outside of the Dark Order teaming with members of the Dark Order, because the Dark Order has so many members already. But I digress. Brody throws Fuego, just tosses him. And also, Brody King hits a senton off the apron. Brody King, amazing wrestler. Fuego almost pins Black. Hits a Poison Rana, but Black catches him in midair with a big knee. 1, 2, 3. House of Black get the victory. Number 3 out of 10. Andrade versus Darby Allin. Darby countered the Razor's Edge with the Code Red. That spot alone gets it in the top 3. That was sick. Bitch slap battle for the ages. Sting cuts off Jose. Darby dives on Butcher and the Blade. He gets back in the ring, gets hit with a DDT. 1, 2, 3. Andrade gets the victory. There's a lot of talk about Andrade not being used well in AEW, but I mean, this Darby feud was great. And also, the Cody rivalry, the stop-start of the Cody rivalry was also good. I'm not really sure, looking back, I did this as well. I'm kind of calling myself out here. But Andrade is in a better position here than he would be in WWE, that's for sure. I mean, he's been in multiple main events here. He's on pay-per-views where that wasn't the case in WWE. I think Darby Allin, the smaller guy, Andrade, knowing how to wrestle smaller guys through lucha, this feud is good, and I think it's going to keep going here. I think we got a big 8-man tag coming up. The Hardys had to come out as well. Number 2 out of 10, Moxley versus Jay Lethal. We're going to be talking about Jay Lethal a little later as well. Lethal went for a code of honor. Moxley didn't go for it. Mox hits a huge lariat, elbow from Lethal off the top, but at the end of the day, paradigm shift, 1, 2, 3, and then Moxley shakes Jay Lethal's hand after the match. But the number one match out of all AEW television matches this week, Bryan Danielson versus Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta, hell of a week here. We're going to be talking about that later. Danielson in control. Yuta not giving up, though. Yuta spits on Danielson's face. I wouldn't say this is really showing heart. This is just kind of gaining spite for Danielson. But Danielson kind of appreciated it. Not enough to kind of let up on him. He just started stomping his head over and over and over again. Ref calls for the bell. Danielson gets the victory. Wheeler Yuta, I can't say showing heart, but, building momentum here in losses, which is wild to think about. But as you guys know, AEW wasn't the only wrestling show this week. Not talking about WrestleMania, talking about the luminaries around WrestleMania weekend. Too much to talk about. New Japan, AAA, Whole Festivals, the collective, Whole Festivals, WrestleCon, Impact Wrestling. We're going to be talking about 2 of my favorite ones right now, are the ones that I chose to talk about. 2 of my favorite ones throughout the course of WrestleMania week history. One being Spring Break, Night 1. The building looked like a cleaned out factory. Perfect venue for this event. The posts in the ring were not the perfect posts for this event. This was a janky ass ring, y'all. The post went up like 2 feet beyond the top turnbuckle. Allie catch had an interesting, there we go, promo. And Jeff Jarrett had a very well done video package where he's kind of nervous walking around his truck looking very Tennessee. But that was it. And I remember back in the day, not back in the day, it sounds funny saying back in the day, but yeah, a few spring breaks ago, the video packages is what set Spring Break apart from all the other shows on WrestleMania weekend. And here we only get like 2 real ones. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed by that. But the matches were great, though. Starting out with a bang, the Tag Team Championship match in GCW, Second Gear Crew versus the Briscoes versus Nick Gage without Matt Tremont. No real explanation on why Tremont was not there in the body of the show. I was supposed to look it up, guys. I didn't look it up because there's so much to talk about. I left a space here in my notes to find out why Matt Tremont wasn't there, but I forgot, guys. I'm sorry. And, Matt Tremont is kind of forgettable in this run in GCW. I'll go out and say that he's definitely leaning on past accolades for sure. He hasn't impressed me much. Gage, though, letting the other teams brawl. Very smart. But to the point where he wasn't even breaking up pinfalls. That's not very smart. Then Slade, from Beyond Wrestling fame, comes out and says he wants to be Nick Gage's partner. Nick Gage doesn't know what to do at first. but then Slade hands him a pizza cutter and then reveals that he has a pizza cutter, and Nick Gage is like, hey, I like this guy. I don't think he likes him too much now because the Briscoes hit him with the Doomsday Device 1, 2, 3. Now, Briscoes are the tag team champions in GCW, first ever two-time tag team champions in GCW, but they really haven't settled the score with the Second Gear Crew, and they pinned the guy who wasn't involved in the tag team schmoz anyways. So this match was supposed to settle the score, but I don't think any score was settled here, which I'm not complaining about. This tag team title feud is my favorite thing in GCW at the moment. But then we had AR Fox versus Blake Christian. That was a great match. Lots of 2 counts. 3 amigos from Blake Christian. And then he hits, the frog splash. 1, 2. AR Fox kicks out. 450 from AR Fox. Looks super smooth. 1, 2. Christian kicks out. Golden Trident. I can't remember this move, but I remember it was called the Golden Trident. What a wild-ass name. 1, 2, 3. Blake Christian gets the victory. And then we go into Allie Katch versus Mickie James, legend Mickie James. And I'm looking at, 2022 so far. Mickie James might be the female wrestler of the year. I mean, she's the Impact champion. She appeared on Royal Rumble with the Impact title, and now here she is taking part in the first ever women's match in spring break at WrestleMania weekend. This is huge. Allie Katch looks like she's eating Mickie James out before giving her the powerbomb. Yes, you heard me say that correctly. I can't believe I just said that on the podcast. Cover your kids' ears while talking about the Allie Katch Mickie James match. And then Allie grabs Mickey's muff, and James grabs the snatch of Katch, and they kind of have a battle here. James kisses Allie Katch after getting the victory. I know Texas is in a different time zone than North Carolina, but I think I jumped from 6 to midnight watching this match. Then there was a scramble. The spring break scramble usually kicks things off, but this year it was in the body of the show. Lots of great wrestling. Go back and watch it if you want to. Nick Wayne hits a 630 on everybody and then pins Jordan Oliver 1, 2, 3. And we get X-Pock versus Joey Janella. Joey Janella, super tan, wearing Razor Ramon inspired trunks. X-Pac, not impressed, calls him out for his tan line. X-Pac hits a Canadian Destroyer right into an X-Factor. I thought that looked pretty sick. Hits a sloppy X-Factor through a door. But Joey hits a low blow and a super kick. 1, 2, 3. Gets the victory. Not the coolest low blow or not the most impactful low blow of the week, and we'll get to that a little later. But after the match, here was the kind of story for me. The crowd's chanting, "You still got it." X-Pac says, "I don't feel like I got it." And then he says, "I feel like he let the crowd down." He feels like he let the crowd down. That's bullshit, X-Pac. It was a great-ass match. He says he's not done yet. So there was talk about how this was supposed to be like his swan song, but I don't think it is. And I think he says GCW is his home. And, they're giving Nick Gage exclusive deal. They're giving Joey Janela an exclusive deal. And if you're kind of trying to sign guys to exclusive deals, I think X-Pac might be a good one to sign. I know he's not a GCW staple. It might piss a lot of people off. But I think if you bring Nick Gage, Joey Janela, and X-Pac around to every GCW show, that show will do well. It'll bring a fan base that usually isn't coming for Nick Gage, isn't coming for Joey Janela. So if X-Pac is calling GCW his home, I would kind of embrace that if I was GCW. And then we go into the world title match. Jon Moxley versus AJ Gray. Crowd was a little quiet after this one, after X-Pac. I think X-Pac was the big deal that they all wanted to see. Brawling through the crowd kind of woke him up, though. Moxley slams AJ on a barbed wire door, then uses light tubes on him. AJ climbs the ladder, unlike Hammerstone. I guess he's trying to get his win back from the ladder after what a botch at Hammerstein Ballroom. But he, climbs about halfway up and delivers the move. But he still can't beat Mox. He hits a Death Rider, a move very similar to the Paradigm Shift. 1, 2, 3. Mox is still your champion in GCW. And this is when I thought the show was over. I was like, oh, what a great show. And then I realized that there was another match. I forgot about this match. Alex Colon versus John Wayne Murdoch. And what I did was I was like, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to watch this match. And this was the craziest feeling in the world to watch this match at like 6 a.m. It just started out brutal as shit. With light tubes, gusset plates, just, beating each other with everything. And then Colon ends up just cutting his arm pretty profusely to the point where he's like bleeding pretty bad. Doctors are out there at ringside. They grab like a table, a big bandage, and tape up like his shoulder to his elbow on what I think is maybe his right arm. They just kind of tape it up. That arm is useless, like visibly useless in the match. It was pretty uncomfortable at this point to watch. Murdoch ends up beating that arm with a wooden board and wins the match. You see Murdoch talking to the referee like, hey, we need to get a fucking doctor back there. You don't know what he's saying, but he says something pretty quickly while his hand is being raised, and the referee is kind of looking around. You see the referee like looking to the back, looking to, we're trying to maybe find Colon. And Jesus Christ, I know after this they did a Tournament of Death style show after this match, and if it was anything like this match, that's, I would have felt uncomfortable here. I started watching deathmatch wrestling again during the pandemic because it was the only wrestling that was really out there other than WWE and AEW. So I know these guys, I know these names, and just when I'm starting to get hooked, I'm starting to feel bad for these guys. Alex Colon might bleed out in Dallas, Texas. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Holy shit. It's WrestleMania weekend, folks. That was Spring Break Night 1, but we're going to be talking about, I'm going to say, a much better show. Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, the first Ring of Honor show, with Tony Khan being the booker, and you can tell that throughout. That was one complaint I saw on Twitter, but I mean, you could kind of see it coming from a mile away, that the AEW guys went over here. Payperview.com is what I watched it on. That site sucks. Always watch on Fight TV. You can't pause live television like you can on Fight. So I missed a few matches, but I jumped in with Tully picking Brian Cage as his new wrestler of choice to manage. And Brian Cage wrestles Ninja Mac. Ninja Mac pulling double duty going to the Gringo Loco show after this, but Ninja Mac literally just gets tossed around by Brian Cage. 1, 2, 3. Brian Cage gets the victory, and then Tao and Khan, guys who have been in Ring of Honor, guys who have been on AEW Dark, come out, and Tully reveals that they're in the faction as well. Lee Moriarty versus Jay Lethal. Great match. Nothing really of note here, but a pretty good match. But then Jay Lethal hits a low blow. Biggest dick move since Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles in WrestleMania 34. And that's how Lethal gets the victory. And then he beats up injured Matt Sydal. Even bigger dick move from Jay Lethal. That story kind of plays out at the end. We're going to get to that later. Mercedes Martinez versus Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale, good character, fun personality. But then the bell rings. Willow goes for a moonsault and her knees just collide into Mercedes Martinez's face and chest. Just awful moonsault. Learn from Terry Funk or something, you know what I'm saying? And that, whatever. You can visibly see Mercedes Martinez just bitch her out for landing where she landed on her. But she does get the victory. Brass City Slayer. Willow taps out. After that, we had a match of the weekend. The Briscoes versus FTR. This is going into this weekend, I knew this was going to be my favorite match, and it was my favorite match so far. WrestleMania hasn't even happened yet, but from what I've seen, Rampage, Joey Janella Spring Break, and ROH Supercard of Honor, I would have to say this match is nothing's gonna top this match in my eyes. Crowd is fucking hot as fire right off the beginning. Dax spits in Jay's face. Crowd goes crazy as both teams brawl on the outside. Springboard powerbomb by Dax as Cash is jumping for the cross body from FTR. That was awesome. Briscoes even hit a big rig. Both Briscoes bleeding here, but at the end of it, big rig from FTR. 1, 2, 3. FTR, the new Ring of Honor champions. This review doesn't give this match justice. It was so good. Go out of your way. If you're going to pick one match to go out of your way to watch, go out of your way to watch this one. It was awesome. I can't say enough good things about this match. I can't see any WrestleMania match being as good as this one. They shake hands, show respect at the end, but then the Young Bucks show up, start whooping the Briscoes' ass after the match happened. FTR come out, they make the save. ROH tag titles are going to be defended next week on Dynamite, Wednesday on Dynamite. Bucks versus FTR on Dynamite. Holy shit. So that was a big announcement. But that wasn't the biggest announcement of the show. Suzuki versus Rhett Titus for the television title. Bitch slap exchange to get things started. Suzuki wins with a pile driver. So now Suzuki is the ROH TV champion. He might take the ROH TV title to New Japan. That's insane. Josh Woods versus Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta, of course, coming of age on AEW Dynamite. Crowd seems kind of dead with these two matches after the Briscoe FTR Classic. But they kind of come alive here a little bit here. Wheeler uses his 2 rope breaks real early. Woods goes for a pin, 1-2. Yuta has to use his 3rd rope break. But then he steals the victory by rolling Josh Woods up. So here is all the AEW talent. You kind of see it right here. All the AEW guys are getting over. FTR with the tag titles. I guess Suzuki appeared on AEW. He's more of an AEW guy than Red Titus. And Wheeler Yuta, a guy who can't get a victory on AEW TV, pins Josh Woods. You also have Jay Lethal, who signed to AEW, get, some shine here with the dick move to Lee Moriarty. And Mercedes Martinez also wins. So anyone affiliated with AEW is winning these matches, which makes the main event epic as fuck. Because not only is it Ring of Honor champion versus Ring of Honor champion, but it's 2 guys unaffiliated with AEW. So who's going to win the main event here? This is, even the smart fans have a hard time booking this one. Bandito comes out. His entrance is cool as shit. This match was killer. Chavo trying to lie, cheat, and steal for Bandito. Bandito getting pissed. First time I've ever seen this. He tells the ref to kick his own manager to the back. Crowd pops. The crowd was definitely woken back up for this match. 21-plex countered by Gresham. 1-2. Bandito kicks out. Super kick by Gresham. Frostberry flop from Bandito. 21-plex gets landed. 1-2. Gresham still kicks out here. Dive by Gresham. 1-2-3. Gresham gets the win, and he is the unified ROH champion, standing there, yoked and tiny with both titles. You gotta love Jonathan Gresham here. He's cutting a promo. I think he's just sending the crowd home happy here. I'd really like to think that I would stick around for this moment, but with all the wrestling taking place this weekend, I might have freaked out and left. And I can see a lot of people doing that to maybe get to Spring Break 2 or something like that. But holy hell, this was awesome. Lethal, that no good son of a bitch dick puncher himself, comes out. He wants a title match. Him and Gresham start getting into it. He's like, you would be nothing without me. Because, of course, Lethal kind of mentored Gresham with their time in Ring of Honor. Sanjay Dutt, Lethal's best friend, comes out. It looks like he's trying to snap some sense into Jay Lethal. But then they turn and they start taking apart Gresham, who just had a world title match. And then all of a sudden, Samoa Joe comes out. Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor. The guy who solidified the Ring of Honor Championship, holding the title for over 2 years, taking it around the world, is back in Ring of Honor. Is back in wrestling. He starts choking out Sanjay. Jay Lethal doesn't want to get in there to save his friend. Holy hell. Then Tony Khan announces Samoa Joe is All Elite. He will be on Dynamite. So this was a great show. This show was a lot better for me than Spring Break was. But at the end of the day, I did see a lot of criticism online saying that it was, pretty much all the AEW guys were going over, which is true. I mean, it's kind of to be expected. It was no Buff Bagwell and Booker T on Raw. Don't get me wrong here. It wasn't that bad. But I can see if you were a hardcore Ring of Honor fan, not really liking the direction of AEW main event. It looks like what Ring of Honor is going for. I mean, the cameraman and the security all just blatantly had AEW polos on. They didn't even, cough out the money for a Ring of Honor polo. But that being said, this was a great show. I can't see any match on the whole weekend beating Briscoes and FTR. Seeing Samoa Joe come out, the Jay Lethal turn was great. Regardless if you liked it, it was executed greatly. And then Gresham holding the titles was amazing. And then the rest of the show, the glue that held those two things together was great. I can't say enough about this damn show. I can't say enough, guys. It's WrestleMania Day, baby. I gotta go to work. I'm coming back. I'm watching WrestleMania. Then I'm gonna watch Joey Janella Spring Break 2. I'm gonna watch the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna watch WrestleMania Night 2. I'm gonna watch Raw after WrestleMania, and I'm gonna meet back up with you guys on Tuesday. Fly high. I'm out, baby. Woo!